Hello, I am Ricky J, and welcome back to Reaction with me, Recky. We've done a lot of videos when it comes to United States military, different aircrafts and such. And there's another video out. It's pretty old. It's from December 11th, 2020. And it's considered that United States Army is the most powerful or the strongest in the entire world. This video is supposedly analyzing this and more or less try to explain why. It's about 12 and a half minutes long, so we're going to find out what makes United States Army or the military the strongest. If you do enjoy the video, smack the like, of course, and don't forget to hit that subscribe. If there's any other videos you want me to react to, use the comment section for that, of course. And you see the names going by. That's my channel members and my patrons. And a shout out to the Supreme Tier donators, David Bangtson, buddasquirrel, Southern Mom, Deja, and Peggy. Thank you so much, guys, for the support. If you want to join them, click join to see what you get. And there's a Patreon link in the comment section. Let's go. It's widely known.
Great military powers have been appearing and disappearing since the beginning of history. Now is the time for the United States of America to be the leader in military might. But what makes it so powerful? Will its power remain undisputed? Are there already signs of weakness? Would it really stand in a conflict with potential rivals like China or Russia? To find out, we should analyse why exactly the US military is considered the strongest. The numbers. The US has 1,400,000 active military personnel. This figure places it in third place in this category. China has the largest army with slightly above 2 million soldiers, while India comes in second place. This doesn't sound that impressive, but what makes the US military stand out is not necessarily the raw number of men. The US has unquestionable air supremacy. The US military is number one in air power, with 13,264 total military aircraft, a total that is greater than the other 5 greatest air forces combined.
Wow, that's pretty awesome that we actually find out this now. Well, at least for me, we watched a couple of videos when with the Warthog and the B-2 bomber and the C-130. Was it AJ? I'm sorry, I'm just messing up the names here. You guys gonna tell me in the comment section. But that is just the perfect match here. We got this now to see that the military might in the Air Force is greater, much greater than the rest of the world combined. Top 5.
2,085 are air-to-air fighters, 715 ground attack aircraft, 945 transportation aircraft, 5,768 helicopters, and 967 attack helicopters. The US is number one in each aircraft category, except for air-to-ground forces, where it's slightly topped by Russia.
Russia is coming after.
The US has a powerful navy that is designed to work in conjunction with its air forces. It has 20 aircraft carriers, 11 are regular fixed-wing carriers, while 9 are capable of hosting only helicopters and short takeoff planes like the F-35B. This is almost half of the world's total number of aircraft carriers, while most of the others belong to allied countries. If we take into account only regular fixed-wing aircraft capacity, the total combined deck space of the US aircraft carriers is over twice that of all the other nations combined. To complement this, the US Navy has the greatest number of destroyers and ranks third in the number of submarines.
91?
The numbers of the US naval strength are a bit tricky. If we count the total number of naval assets, the US falls in 4th place, behind Russia and China, and even behind North Korea, that boasts a surprising 1st place. However, in case of a maritime conflict, it would still be hard to counter the power of the US Navy, supported by overwhelming air supremacy and allied forces. Land power. The US is slightly behind Russia regarding raw numbers. American ground forces number 6,289 tanks,
Whoa!
39,000 armoured vehicles, 1,465 self-propelled artillery, and 1,366 rocket projectors. However, Russia has a lot of outdated vehicles with questionable performance in case of a real conflict. Meanwhile, the US military has a broad technological edge. The US has 5,800 nuclear warheads that make it the world's second largest in nuclear war power. In this video, we're analysing the conventional military strength, but it can't be denied that a nuclear arsenal does bring a certain status. Even if things don't escalate to a full-blown nuclear war, it's intimidating to any country to be armoured with such nuclear power. The quality. The US Army consists entirely of trained professionals, and many have real combat experience. Since the beginning of this century, the US has been involved in military conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Somalia, Libya, Uganda, and Yemen. While other countries still rely on conscripts to fill the numbers, the US can field an army of well-trained, experienced professionals. The equipment, the military assets, and the technology used in...
I gotta say, there's a huge difference of being a conscript, meaning that you get basically drafted. This in Sweden, you get drafted. I got drafted when I was 18, but you guys volunteer. That's like going to work you want to go to. Me not want to go to work that I want to be at. I enjoyed my time in the military, but you see how the difference between being a volunteer and the difference of being a conscript is really big. You want to be there.
Combat have excellent quality. This is the defining reason why US casualties are usually fewer than those of their adversaries. The strong ability to project power is another defining trait of the United States military. Size, technology, and experience are nothing if you can't reach the enemy. Power projection is the ability of a state to deploy and sustain forces outside its territory. Only a few states are capable to overcome the difficulties that involve power projection, and the US excels at it. This is made possible by several factors. The home base of the US is safe. The neighbouring countries are friendly. Potential enemies are far away. The large landmass makes it a country that is hard to invade. It also has coastlines along 2 oceans and strategic islands that hold military bases. The US forces can reach far, fast, and deploy great numbers of forces supported by the enforcement of air and sea superiority, combined with excellent transportation capabilities.
And don't forget the information that it's not known for the public. There's bound to be a stuff that is hidden in the files in the Area 51. Is it 52? I can't remember the name of it, the number of it. But the stuff we don't know, and that's really cool.
Even if it doesn't engage in combat, the US can enforce naval and air blockades that can severely cripple an enemy's economy. The US has by far the largest network of military bases operating outside of its territory.
This is what I thought. We were talking about Sweden joining NATO, Finland joining NATO. If this actually means that Sweden will become a NATO country, that basically means that any nation can do or have a military base in Sweden. And if that is actually a thing, I think it's a thing. I'm not really sure, but I wouldn't mind having a military base, a United States military base in Sweden somewhere. Just pick the South, because I live in the South. Just that's a heads up.
Information regarding the exact number and location of such bases involves classified information, so we can only estimate the total extent of the overseas military presence. Back in 2013, the Pentagon stated that there were around 600 military bases overseas.
Holy crap.
A rough estimate would be around 1,000 overseas US military compounds. Approximately 165,000 military personnel is stationed outside the United States. This doesn't include areas of conflict such as Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The US has significant forces deployed in around 55 countries and autonomous territories. It is also estimated that more than...
But this is not correct. This is country with US military bases. This is not correct. There's no military base in Sweden, and there's no military base in Finland. I don't know. I think it's in Norway, but I'm 100% sure that's not in Finland or Sweden. So this doesn't make any sense unless I actually missed out on something, which is not likely. There's a lot about talking about there's an air base up in the North region. I can't really remember the name of it. It's frequently used when United States and Sweden have some kind of a training, a military exercise. That's when you guys use, but that is not a military facility or a base that is run by the United States. It's a Swedish base. So it doesn't really matter. Really, I don't care if it's true or not, but it just doesn't make any sense to me because I never heard of it, and I Googled it, and there's absolutely no information whatsoever about it. And that includes Finland.
More than 150 countries have a certain degree of US military presence.
She said it because I know you guys have a couple of guys in that base stationed, but it's not a military base run by the United States.
Alliances. The United States can rely on a vast network of alliances. It is the de facto leader of NATO, the world's strongest military alliance. 18 other countries are designated as major non-NATO allies. This list includes countries like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Thailand, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Egypt, Israel, Argentina, and Brazil. Taiwan's status is a bit more complicated, and it can be considered a de facto ally. Some countries are not formal allies, but have a strong strategic partnership with the US. One notable example is India, that participates in regular military drills together with US forces and some of its allies. Economy. Modern warfare is sustained in the long term by two main factors: the capacity to produce military equipment and the capacity to spend money on defence. American defence companies are the indisputable top producers of weaponry. Among the world's top 10 defence suppliers, 5 of them are American companies. Look.
Okay, so BAE Systems is working with Saab a lot, so I'm going to just say that. Sweden got that too, which is kind of cool. Lockheed, definitely. Boeing. I never heard about Raytheon. That's completely new to me. Northrop I heard about. General Dynamics as well. Only thing I never heard was Raytheon. Raytheon. Let me know if you know what it is and give me some information. I would greatly appreciate it.
Lockheed Martin is the biggest.
Lockheed.
It reported a revenue of almost $60 billion in 2019.
Holy.
That's close to Russia's entire annual military spending.
Whoa.
The strength of the US military is also due to its huge military budget. In 2019, spending on the US military was a whopping $732 billion.
That's amazing.
That's almost 3 times more than China, the world's second largest military spender.
That's insane.
And is roughly 1/3 of the entire world's defense budget. While Russia is commonly regarded as the second most powerful army in the world, its budget consists of only $65 billion. Arguably, there is an aspect of purchasing power. For example, it's cheaper to pay a Russian or Chinese soldier, but the cost of high-quality military equipment is still the same around the world. The reason that the US can afford such an enormous military budget is that it's supported by a strong economy. America has been the world's largest economy since 1871. Its nominal GDP is currently $21.44 trillion. This is almost a quarter of the global economy, and it's backed with plenty of natural resources, advanced infrastructure, and technology. Besides the ability to sustain an enormous defense budget, the US often uses its economic strength as a weapon by enforcing economic sanctions. Soft factors.
Oh, what?
Soft power is another factor that comes into play when assessing a country's might. The US is world-beating in culture, education, and technology. American pop culture has an enormous influence, and this won't change anytime soon. America also hosts most of the world's top-ranking universities with a record number of international students. The US leads the world of technology and digitalization as home to the world's most influential tech companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. It's easy to think that this doesn't seem important in warfare, but imagine an enemy soldier that would have to attack the country where his cousin studies, the country of his favourite music band, the country of his favourite actors from the movie that he watches on an American media platform. Like
Never thought
YouTube,
about that.
Or an American smartphone with American software. Finally, there is another critical aspect. It is called the will to fight. And this is the single most important factor in war. The will to
This is what I'm sorry, I cut that out. I'm going to go back for a bit. This is what I was talking about. These guys are volunteering and they want to do this instead of being a salty conscript that doesn't want to be there. They just want to go home and play Fortnite.
Finally, there is another critical aspect. It is called the will to fight. And this is the single most important factor in war. The will to fight is the disposition to engage in combat. The determination to keep fighting even when facing precarious odds, and finally to win. At an individual level, a soldier with a low will to fight will avoid engagement with the enemy and is likely to flee when things get tough. A battle is won when the enemy's will to fight is broken. Wars don't end when one military destroys the other. Wars end when one side grows weary of fighting, doesn't see any further purpose in the continuation of the conflict, and gives up. The national will to fight is what keeps a nation fighting. This is commonly linked to a sense of patriotism, national identity, and motivation generated by the idea that one fights for what is right. In the past, this has been a strong point of the US, as Americans have been fighting against dictators and terrorists that lacked concern for human life and dignity. In contrast, the USA has been regarded as a country that embodies values of freedom, democracy, and rule of law. It was the country that defined such values. Even more, it was the country that was willing to fight for these values. The American soldier has been motivated by a sense of moral supremacy rooted in the country's Christian tradition. However, America doesn't seem to be so cohesive in its values anymore. There are many factors intertwined that provoke this. It's a complex topic that deserves a study on its own. But the outcome is that America is now a country that is greatly divided.
That was weird. Was that was blurred out really hard.
Among ideological lines and systems of belief. Many of its citizens are not sure what to believe in anymore, or even what they stand for. There have been many lessons in history. Small nations became great empires by holding high moral standards along with a disciplined and motivated army. A great empire's fall was usually preceded by internal strife and moral crisis. The final story of the United States of America as a global power is not yet written. The nation's strength rests upon its citizens and their decisions. It's a matter of this great nation getting back its cohesion and moral compass. That is, if it wants to keep its status as the world's greatest superpower and defender of freedom.
I gotta say that last few seconds or minutes in this video was really amazing. Tell me what you think about the video and the information that was pushed through in it. She said it. I mean, it's not limited to United States that have issues domestically at the moment. There's a bunch of countries all over the world, especially in Europe. Well, you all know about Ukraine, but politically, it's a mess everywhere. So we got to stay strong, know the difference between right and wrong, and help out beating the evil that is roaming our planet. If you did enjoy this, smack the like and of course hit that subscribe. And until next time, I am Recky. You stay safe.